Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today I am going to be trying the first chapter in these 4 books. So they're all different sizes. I think they're all different types of fantasy, but they all have fantasy in common. So that is basically the long and short of it. I babbled on for far too long. I'm going to get started. And I am going to start off with the one that is on top of the pile, which is Death's Disciple by Emma L. Adams. I love this cover. This is probably my favourite cover, definitely out of our batch, and I'm pretty sure I said that when we did our cover contest. So I will be reading the first chapter of this, and I'll be trying to tell you what on earth is going on. I will see you once I've read the first chapter. So I finished the prologue and the first chapter of this book. It's good. And I can understand why Esme has put it forward as a semi-finalist. So in the prologue we meet Captain Yala after what appears to have been some big fight / accident that has left her injured on one of her legs, causing her to need to use a cane. And they are standing to attention. There is a funeral pyre going on, and at the end of this funeral procession she's called over by the new king, as his father was one of the people that happened to die in whatever has just happened, and he tells her that he is closing off her section of the army. There will no longer be a flight division. They fly these beasts called war drakes, which I'm guessing if it's like an actual drake. They have 4 legs, wings, they're kind of like dragons, but a drake. And that's where we leave the prologue. The prologue is Captain Yella telling her team, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news, which basically is telling them that their division is now closed. They will all be paid handsomely to go and live out the rest of their lives in retirement. That is it, off you go. I decided to read chapter 1 as well because it doesn't really touch on anything, and chapter 1 still doesn't really give us much of the plot, really. We are again seeing Yala just a few, I don't know how long, it doesn't say how many years in the past, unless I missed it, which is quite possible. But we are with Yala, and she is now in a tiny little cabin that she's either found or built in the middle of nowhere, and she is rudely awoken from her nap by an insect biting her, and then she hears this noise and she opens the curtain to her little cabin and she sees a giant eye staring at her, and it is a war drake. And so proceeds like a little action fight scene of Yella trying to escape with her life and the war drake trying to eat her. There is a little bit towards the end of the chapter which is quite cool. It shows Yala realising that the war drake is actually one that had been trained, as it has got scars on its neck from wearing a chain that they used to make all their war drakes wear, and she manages to make it fly away so it doesn't eat anyone else that lives near her, and she then has to go back up to her cabin and try and assess the damage that it has left behind. That is it. That is the first prologue and the first chapter. First prologue? You know what I mean. Prologue and first chapter. I like that we are introduced to the world. I like that we are already intrigued. There has been something that has happened. Yala is keeping something for the story. She says she's told the truth, but we don't know what that truth is. We haven't been told anything about that truth. And then the next chapter is kind of just building onto what we already know, and it kind of introduces Yala as what she is now that she is no longer a captain in the flight division. So I think that's quite cool. We have other little bits mentioned in the blurb that we haven't seen yet. Obviously it's just the first chapter, so this will probably all be mentioned within the first 50 pages. There is mention of her not expecting assassins to come and find where she now lives, nor does she anticipate the mission that ended her career to have given rise to rumours that see her targeted by mercenaries vying to claim a price on her head. With the other survivors from her squad being picked off one by one, she has little choice but to return to the capital in the hopes of finding answers. So I'm looking forward to actually carrying on with this book and finding out what that means. Obviously I understand the whole like being picked off one by one, but seeing what that means for our main character Yala, if it even gives a hint as to who is doing that in this 450-ish page, well, 445 page book. I'm excited to find out. So that's the first one, Loving Life. The next one in this pile is none other than Seeds of War by Yael F. Silver. I don't think I'm saying that right at all, and I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name, but this is the cover. It is another amazing one. I will say all of these covers are pretty cool. I do like a lone figure on a cover though. It's just something about it. So we have 3 different perspectives in this book according to the back. So I am going to try the first chapter and we will see how I feel. Okay, so the first chapter of this, we are introduced to our first character, who is called Gimlaw. So the back of the book says they are a single mother and a war veteran turned crime boss set on protecting her family and her town. So in the very first chapter we are introduced to Gimlaw. Gimlaw it's from her point of view. She is awaiting a group of visitors, essentially, one of which is called the Herald, and there is a translator who translates her language into the Herald's language, and it is mentioned that they come from the old continent. Interesting. We are also briefly introduced to Gimlaw's children and the people that work for her in this little tavern that she owns. She invites this group into her tavern, feeds them a very interesting mixed stew, and then takes them out to explore the farmland for purposes unknown at the time. We then have a brief introduction into something known as the elixir, which come from a beast called, which one was it? I love the fact that in this book as well, slight sidetrack, that we have these drawings of all the animals. Now I know the sequel has got more drawings of the animals of which are planned to be in here. So the elixir is made from the liver, I'm guessing something in the liver, by this creature here, which is known as a moss back. And it's clear that the group have come to Gimlaw's little area of the world because they've heard about this elixir and they want to buy it, and we are shown a demonstration that the elixir promotes strength, bravery and fast healing. One of her cronies, one of the people that work for her, has taken the elixir and she says, right, well, it takes a few moments to kick in. Edmure, would you show us what you can do? And he like crushes a boulder and like throws it, and then he puts his hand through a tree. So yeah, very interesting demonstration. She's then obviously pitching it as, well, who wouldn't want their armies to have this amazing elixir which makes your soldiers full of strength and bravery and fast healing. And then the next chapter is also from Gimlaw's point of view, so I don't know where that goes. But it does also say, is it Luck Runs Out, chapter 2? Out of luck. So I'm wondering if this whole shindig is gonna go down not very well. That's not even an English sentence. I wonder if the whole shindig that she has planned has got a very different outcome to what she has planned. So this is actually really gripped me already. I really want to learn more, and that's just the first character. We haven't met Orberosis yet, who is a petty thief pretending to be God to protect a terrible secret, or Red Now, who is the world's most feared mercenary, but his best days are behind him and there's one job left to do. Sounds great, huh? I think it sounds great. I'm enjoying myself. Right, third book up is none other than The Daughter of the Ice. Again, we have a very colourful cover here. It's very stunning. And yeah, oh, this has also got a prologue. So let's try that out, and then I'll come back and let you know my thoughts. Okay, so I read the prologue and the first chapter of this book, which is about 23 pages. I'm intrigued. So in the prologue, we are introduced to, I'm going to say Eriga. because that's how I'm reading it. And Erika is a decorated knight. He is mentioned on the back of the book. But in the prologue, he is brought in because this old counsellor called Haradon. I'm gonna say Haradon. Yeah. Has tried to bribe one of the bodyguards into killing the patriarchs, the people in charge. And the bodyguard came clean and said this is what has happened, so they had already planned to confront him and take him down. So this ensues like a fight between the people that Haradon has brought in and the knights or bodyguards that Erika has brought in, and there's a big fight. Haradon manages to escape, and he escapes down a trapdoor. Erika follows him to other mercenary guards, and there is a big explosion causing a cave-in. Erika manages to make it. The two mercenaries aren't so lucky, and Haradon just poofs, disappears. So we then, in the same prologue, have, is it 2 months after? I have to check because I want to give you the right information. Yeah, 2 months after that attempted coup, we are in Haradon's perspective, and he is battling through the ice. He is still trying to escape, and he finds a woman encased in ice sitting on a throne. Dun 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 dun. Then we go into the first chapter. In the first chapter, we are broken up between Johan and Anna. They seem to have some sort of relationship together. Johan is currently sat in a bar drinking away his sorrows because Anna is actually a courtesan and she has a job to go and do, and he doesn't like it, but he knew it when they met. Interesting. Johan is also known as a thief. He is approached and given a job and told that it should be an easy one. Anna manages to get away with the job that she has been given, which is right at the start of the chapter, only suffering a dislocated leg, is all fixed up. We are introduced to her foster father, who is this man in a mask. Apparently it looks like a seagull or a seabird. Very interesting. I'm imagining one of those like plague masks that they used to wear back in the olden days. And then there's a little hint that she gets paid by one of the other assassins that she works with to have a bit of fun, which, you know, each to their own. And then finally, the final part of the first chapter is from someone called Eileen's perspective, and she mentions about being woken up and Haradon being her hand in all of this. So she is obviously the daughter of the ice. I can already feel the kind of almost religious factions that are going to be in this. It's a belief system. If you believe in the daughter of the ice, you follow that faction. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm actually really I'm intrigued about all of these books, as I should be. But I didn't actually realise how many different perspectives would actually be broken up into each chapter, which is quite cool. I don't think it's the same in every chapter. I think some chapters might just be one perspective, but we'll carry on and we'll see. I'm interested to see more about Anna and Johan. More Johan than Anna, I think, currently, just because Johan has got an active job on and Anna has just completed one. And I'm intrigued to see where Erika goes to battle this Haradon and Eileen. Because it is mentioned on the back that Erika is tasked with leading a band of young mercenaries into the heart of the frozen plains to appraise the threat that is coming. It's giving me The Coward, the Warrior by Stephen Orion, that whole like quest to go and fix something that is brewing somewhere else. It's giving those vibes to me. So intrigued. And then we are on to the final book pick for this video, again very kindly sent to me, The Tome of Haron by Damien Francis. This is a chunky boy with some very small writing, and I love that all of these have got, I'm pretty sure all of these have got maps in. I love a good map. So let's dive into this and I'll come back and I'll tell you how I feel, and then we'll wrap up this whole video. And just like that, the final of the 4 books is finished, and oh my gosh. So for a start, this book is so much more grimdark than the other 3 have been so far. They could get darker, but this goes straight in. So in the prologue of this book, we meet a group of what are they called? Blooder somethings? What are they called? Blooder seethers. We don't have a lot of information as to what they are, but we meet a group of them, and we also meet Vardu and his next best assassin and an apprentice. So he's like the head of this assassin group, and these two groups are called in to talk to a king who has got 3 men in front of him, visibly maimed, battered, tortured, and this weird shadow in the corner. And the blood seethers are given a task. Vardu's apprentice and other assassin are given a task, and Vardu is also given a task to complete. The blood seethers are looking for something called the Tome of Haron, which is the title of said book. Vardu's assassin and his apprentice are given a list of names for which they need to kill in a certain order, and Vardu is sent on a completely different mission, which I'm kind of thinking is to infiltrate the, I think it's Nareen, the Nareen people, which is where he is originally from. Then we go into chapter 1. And in chapter 1 we meet Ador, who is currently working as a servant in this posh house. He's in an orphanage. I'm guessing him and his friends are between the ages of 16 and 18, as they still live in this orphanage, but they are all working jobs. There is mention of one of his friends in here having lost her parents at 16, so maybe they're like 17, 18. It doesn't really say how long she's been at the orphanage too, but I kind of get the gist that they're like probably between the ages of 17 and 18 if they're trying to go off into the world. And there are little hints throughout the chapter that Ador is being followed by this man in a cloak. We get a bit of backstory as to how he actually ended up in an orphanage, being handed over in a bloody cloth by some stranger who they can never find ever again, who clearly says, this isn't my child, but still hands him over to the orphanage, which I think is like fair play, because you could just leave the child on the streets, but you took them to an orphanage. Like, that's probably good going. And then right at the end of the chapter, Ador has climbed the stairs after being let go from his job, after being severely battered by some people that also work with him. He is let go because he is told that he doesn't work well and he slacks and all this, because he's getting battered by people, but the master of the house doesn't believe him. And after he climbs the stairs and drapes onto his, and like flumps onto his bed, he then realises that there is a man sat in his room with a sword across his lap who goes, "Hello, Ador. We need to talk." Which is creepy. Like, who the heck is this man? 1, why has he been following Ador? Ador hasn't even realised, mind. 2, how did he get into this room without anyone noticing? Obviously he's like climbed up the outside of the building or something. And 3, what the heck does he want? So I'm really intrigued by this. Like I said, it is a lot more grimdark from the offset, so just bear that in mind when you're going into it. But there are all 4 books that I own physically that I wanted to try that I haven't tried so far, and I am pleasantly surprised that all of them have really intrigued me. They all have really stunning covers. Obviously they're all fantasy, so they're up my street anyways. I do love a good fantasy book. And yeah, I just can't wait to crack on. If you have enjoyed this little try chapter video, please give it a like, really supports me on my channel. Leave me a comment down below of any Spiffbo books that you've read, past, present, I don't mind, let me know down below. If you want to just leave me an emoji, leave me any book emojis in the comments, and if you want to see more of me, please consider subscribing down below and ring the notification bells to get notified every single time I upload new videos. I am doing video too, so I'm currently uploading a video every single day in the month of August, so be sure to subscribe so you get notified every single day, and I hope to see you tomorrow in the next one. Bye.